The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. In 2014, the Mobile Bay National Estuary Program's Management Conference committees continued on a journey toward protecting what we value most about Alabama's coast. September 30th, 2014 marked the end of the first year of implementing the 2013 through 2018 Comprehensive Conservation and Management Plan, a blueprint for ensuring access to the water and open spaces, healthy beaches and shorelines, abundant fish and wildlife, protection of our area's heritage and culture, environmental health and resiliency, and most of all, clean water. Today, we recognize their hard work and a job well done, and we celebrate their stewardship of our coastal way of life.
One of the charges of the Science Advisory Committee is to integrate science into the development of an environmental monitoring program to track the health of Alabama's estuaries. In 2014, the SAC channeled their energies toward determining what biological integrity looks like along the Alabama coast.
We've been working on a tool to communicate ecosystem health to the general public.
If we can measure biological integrity in a natural setting, we can determine whether or not restoration activities have been successful.
For the upcoming year, one of the primary goals is to begin a test of the biological condition gradient, the BCG framework that has been developed specifically in Dardeau watershed, where some restoration actions are slated to occur.
By measuring changes in biological condition in a restored site, an index will be developed that can be used across watersheds in restored areas to assess environmental health.
We want to do a before, after, and a control that will examine the utility of this index in terms of ecological services.
In addition to measuring biological changes in the Dardeau watershed, for 2015 the SAC will create a baseline of where and how much quality habitat exists across our two coastal counties. They will map submerged aquatic vegetation and the mosaic of other habitats found along our coast to guide restoration initiatives prescribed by watershed management plans thanks to funding received by the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation Gulf Environmental Benefit Fund. The Project Implementation Committee, or PIC, focused its efforts on prioritizing the 31 watersheds that are influenced by the tides of Mississippi Sound, Mobile Bay, and the Gulf of Mexico, with a goal of restoring hydrology, or the natural flow of fresh water, into our fish and shellfish nursery areas. Recognizing the value of comprehensive planning to guide restoration efforts, the PIC adopted a process of developing comprehensive watershed management plans and then undertaking restoration activities identified in those plans.
This last year, the Project Implementation Committee worked aggressively on completing the 3 Mile Creek Management Plan for the watershed. In addition to that, we were able to start implementing some of the projects within the Dardeau Watershed Plan. So we had planning efforts going on simultaneously with our on-the-ground restoration. On top of that, we started the planning process for our Fowl River Watershed Management Plan, which also incorporates a big restoration component.
With successful restorations of a degraded tributary to Joe's Branch and Spanish Fort and along a 700-foot stretch of eroded shoreline on Montauk Island completed, the PIC, through the NEP, was awarded 2 Gulf Environmental Benefit Fund grants. A $2 million grant to develop the Fowl River Watershed Management Plan and restore the degraded and vulnerable north end of Montauk Island at the mouth of Fowl River, and a $6.8 million grant award for the restoration of degraded tributaries and wetlands in the Dardeau Creek watershed.
We put forward a proposal in the second round of the NIFWIF proposals to develop management plans for 7 watersheds in the Bay Area.
And with these plans, we're going to be linking our watersheds from the headwaters all the way to the coast where it empties into Mobile Bay. So we're going to be looking at stormwater and water quality issues. We're going to be restoring hydrology. We're going to be looking at living shorelines and fisheries benefits. It's going to be just a fantastic and exciting next year and in years to come.
With an eye towards bringing more private sector interest to the table, the Business Resources Committee spent 2014 building awareness about the importance of conserving our coastal way of life.
We've really focused on strategic planning and recruiting troops, and we've been doing that by educating businesses, both individually and in groups, about the value of the NEP and how the businesses can get involved in implementing the CCMP. We've even put bodies in boats. We've had elected officials, community leaders, business leaders in canoes and kayaks so that they can really experience and see firsthand the value and really even greater the potential value of our natural resources like 3 Mile Creek.
In the coming year, the BRC is focused on improving the business community's understanding of how our estuaries contribute to economic, cultural, and community well-being.
We'll engage the private sector to really take ownership of their impact on the watersheds, to not only understand how their actions affect the watershed, but to change behavior. So we have hired a fantastic firm that will create a messaging and marketing campaign designed specifically to the business community to commit them to creating a clean water future.
We're a diverse group of watershed groups and nonprofit groups that have a community basis. And our goal is to work within the communities to improve the environment.
The Community Action Committee is where the rubber meets the road. This past year, this committee gave birth to the Create a Clean Water Future campaign, including the development of a website full of resources for educating local communities about stormwater runoff. This committee, representing the vast array of grassroots, place-based volunteer groups from across both counties, is focused on educating and involving citizens in protecting what we value. In 2014, the CAC participated in the 3 Mile Creek watershed management planning effort by involving over 300 residents in Take Pride in Tolmanville, a creekside cleanup to build community ownership and understanding of the impact of trash on the quality of life. The success of this event served as a template for increasing numbers of community cleanups citywide, marking a new era of citizens actively participating in solving the litter problem that plagues both sides of the bay.
We got organized and we got motivated, and we're pushing together on some mutual goals.
In 2015, the CAC will actively participate in the many watershed planning exercises taking place, as well as documenting their individual activities, not only to recognize their hard work, but also to share experiences, knowledge, and advice among themselves. The hope? To strengthen the effectiveness of all grassroots efforts and build a community actively involved in creating a clean water future, one neighborhood at a time.
We have a community-wide problem with litter and stormwater. So focusing on the Clean Water Future campaign and getting it implemented in each of our watersheds, each of our neighborhoods and communities, that's our biggest goal for not only for 2015, but also beyond.
At the end of the day, it is government that is charged with managing our lands and our water. Whether federal law, state regulation, or local ordinance, elected officials are responsible for the wise stewardship of coastal resources. Over the past year, the Government Networks Committee, or GNC, has focused on educating as many elected officials and state agencies as possible.
There's a lot of things that we just don't have the authority to do without legislation.
Going forward, we are going to begin to look at the public policy implications of our work. Most of us don't have the legislative authority to do what we need to do. So we will be looking at legislation that we will present to the members of our delegation to help give us the authority we need to be able to impact some of these issues.
One of the most important issues challenging local governments is stormwater management. In 2014, the NEP produced an extremely well-received video to educate these officials at their leisure about the Municipal Separate Stormwater Sewer System, or MS4 permit, and how it impacts their communities. In 2015, the GNC will continue to engage elected officials and state agencies in discussion about how to ensure that the impacts causing environmental degradation are addressed in concert with future restoration efforts to ensure the dollars invested are not wasted. In addition to supporting these committees, the NEP has had some significant successes of its own, including the installation of signage at Steel Creek Lodge and Reading Park and within the 3 Mile and 8 Mile Creek watersheds. The NEP in the city of Orange Beach saw the completion of a wetland restoration project along Highway 161 and the creation of the Canal Street Overlay District. This district incorporates low-impact development measures into improvements to this important thoroughfare. The NEP continued to support the middle school version of Estuary Corps, a program to promote environmental education and service. We hosted a State Department fellow from Bangladesh, Maharam Dakua, who interviewed residents of Mobile and Pritchard and supported Auburn University efforts to determine hot pockets of flooding in a distressed area of 3 Mile Creek. We also produced a homeowner's manual for living shorelines in partnership with the Alabama Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. Most notably, Respect the Connect, a comprehensive conservation management plan for 2013 through 2018 was completed and put into action.
As a community, we are very fortunate to have the National Estuary Program here, bringing partners together, both public and private, from both sides of the bay to protect and restore our natural resources.
From our perspective, the NEP provides a very valuable service to this community and to this estuary. Working together is important, and it hasn't always been like that. And I'm not, when I came into the NEP program in 1999, the organization was not running that smoothly, and we ended up hiring a new director, Dave Yeager, who did a great job of pulling everybody together. In my view, the NEP is performing a wonderful function for this community.
I wasn't the only person who really didn't have a good idea of the NEP and what it was and why it was important to us. And so being a part of this committee now, now that I understand, I can become a preacher, I can become an evangelist for the NEP and the way that it affects the way we provide services to people that we represent.
This overview only gives a snapshot of the strides made this past year to protect our coastal environment. The Mobile Bay National Estuary Program is one of many working tirelessly with local communities to coordinate efforts to protect those things we value most. Many dedicated professionals and community volunteers are in this room this morning, and you all deserve resounding applause for your efforts, your commitment, and your willingness to create a clean water future for the Alabama coast. From the Mobile Bay National Estuary Program staff, we say thank you.